project. We have a full agenda for you tonight. And first of all, I will ask for everyone to please silence your phones, if you don't mind, please. So tonight, we're here to talk about a very important project. Augusta government, we value community engagement. It is very important that we provide answers to your questions. I had a chance to walk around the room prior to the meeting and just poll different residents about their concerns, and there are a lot. From property taxes, water usage, traffic, pollution, noise, so forth. So we value this engagement tonight. And we've invited a lot of guests from Augusta government, from QTS, and also Georgia Power to answer your questions. We've also created workstations so you all can go and have individual questions answered. So please feel free to make sure that all your questions are answered tonight. As part of introductions, I want to acknowledge our commissioners tonight. We have Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Wembley, Commissioner Guilfoyle, Commissioner Rice, and Commissioner Slendag. Also, we have a few city departments. We have Augusta Utilities, Augusta Engineering, Augusta Planning and Development, and most importantly, Augusta Information Technology. We want to thank them. They've been here throughout the afternoon setting up this event. So we'll talk very briefly about some guidelines for tonight, as you'll see on the slide deck here. We're asking everyone to please keep your comments very short, very brief, but also be respectful to our guests, QTS, as they graciously work with Augusta to make sure we have this open forum. We'll first have opening remarks from both Commissioner Clark and Commissioner Rice.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming out tonight. This is a big evening, I know, for a lot of you. I'm Commissioner District 3, Catherine Smith Rice, and I hope that we'll be able to answer your questions this evening. And I know that we've got a time frame from 6 to 7:30, so I will not hold you up by sitting up here and talking. But anyway, thank you all again, and after we get done, there are meals for you to take home, box meals, and hope everything goes well. I'm going to introduce now District 5 Commissioner Don Clark.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Can y'all hear me back there in the nosebleeds? All right, good. All right, hey, hopefully everyone has had a very productive day. I do want to acknowledge we do have some additional elected officials in place as well. We have school board trustee Venus Kane. We also have one of our newly elected councilwomen from Grovetown, one of our neighboring counties, Veronica Simpkins, here as well. If there's anyone else here that we have forgotten, all right, cool. Everybody's looking at me. We got a lot of folks that are ready for some Q&A. Listen, this is the opportunity for you all to get a lot of your concerns, questions, but more importantly, just get more informed about what this is. Let's address the elephant in the room. We've seen data centers all over the TV in our surrounding counties and Columbia County. And now we have one that's coming into Augusta, Richmond County. This is not a time for you all to feel excluded at all. This company is investing in this community, but more importantly, they are bringing their business, their expertise of what they do into an area that really isn't familiar with what the heck a data center is. Now, if somebody can tell me in 2 seconds what a data center is, I got a gift card over there for you. Okay, I'll hold it for later then. After we go through this, I'm sure everybody's going to be more informed. But again, this team is ready and willing to do everything they need to do to inform our community about their business and their industry. And they're open, they're transparent, and they're ready. We're not going to belabor any time with us saying anything else. We have our full staff here to answer additional questions at the end of their presentation. But again, this is your time to get your questions and your needs and concerns answered here. And if we can't, then we continue doing it until we do that. Is that a fair deal? All right, so again, I'm gonna turn it back over to Deputy Jackson, and I apologize. Gotta give it up for our leader, our lady in charge, our administrator for Augusta Richmond County, Ms. Tamika Allen. She keeps all of us looking good and on point, and we thank her and all the staff for everything they do. Deputy Jackson, thank you, sir.
My apologies, Ms. Allen, I did not see you come in. All right, so there's going to be a slight change to the agenda tonight. We're going to move planning and development to our Q&A portion for the sake of time, because as Commissioner Clark referenced, it is about you getting your answers tonight. And there's a lot of questions and a lot of different aspects. So we're going to move ahead and have QTS come and provide a presentation for you. And then afterwards, we'll have workstations where everyone can go and ask questions, and then we'll have an open forum here after that particular section. QTS.
Hi, everybody. Ooh, can you hear me? There we go. Thank you for that warm welcome. And thank you to Commissioner Rice-Smith and Commissioner Clark for having us here. This is a wonderful opportunity to introduce the project. I am going to go through some slides to introduce QTS to you, who we are, how we operate, give you some visuals of the typical data center visuals, what the exterior of the buildings look like, what the interior buildings look like, and what a data center is. And that way somebody can get that gift card. So I will go through just, I think there's 7, 8 slides. I'll be very fast. I will bring up the rest of my crew. We have brought experts tonight from a variety of fields within QTS to answer your questions. So I will have people up here able to answer questions about development, this specific site, the timeline, when the buildings will be available, what you're going to experience once we really start the development. I have people here from our government team in case there's questions about that type of stuff. We have with us Georgia Power and the utility person from QTS to answer questions about power usage, and all of those things. So we are going to address all of those questions. I know when we get into the slide, we will hit it too, but there is one more elephant in the room, which we've seen a little bit of misinformation spreading about water usage, and I want to address that up front first. We'll get into the slides, and I'll explain why that number is nowhere near the number that is being socialized, but we'll get into that. So 18 million gallons a day is not accurate. It's 18,000 gallons a day maximum use. But we'll get into the slide, we'll get into why. So from there, I have the clicker. They told me that. So QTS, who are we? We are headquartered in Ashburn, Virginia. It used to be Overland Park. It changed last year. We have 90 operational data centers across the US and Europe. We have now, it says I think 1,900, but it's over 2,000 employees. So we are worldwide. We are a leader in digital infrastructure, which is just fancy words to say we build data centers. Data centers, what do they look like? Usually, 20 years ago, they were big gray buildings. We like our buildings. We think they're very attractive. We were one of the first developers to put our logo on our buildings. We have this beautiful red awning that is on almost all of our buildings. We're a very patriotic company. We employ a lot of veterans. We really like the red. Our logo is red and blue. We enjoy the buildings. We want the people who work in these buildings and who drive by these buildings to find these buildings attractive. So they are big. They are generally gray. But the fronts of the buildings, what you will see when you're driving by on the road, what you will see if you come to one of the buildings, is generally a very attractive front of the building, because that's where the office space is, and there is office space in these buildings. They are buildings that are built for data halls, lots of rows of racks and servers, but there is office space in almost all of our buildings. The office space, again, is up front. It is attractive office space. There are generally several hundred people that work within these buildings. I work in one of these buildings. I think almost everybody that's here from QTS works in one of these buildings. So the office space is attractive. It is typical office space, which is why it does use some water, not 18 million gallons. All right, what is a data center? Data center is a building that hosts or has data halls full of racks and servers. The servers hold the data that powers our everyday lives. Every time you go on your phone, every time you're on a tablet, every time you're on a computer, a lot of times if you're using a car that is built within the last 10 years, you are touching a data hall. You are touching a server. All of the pictures that you've served hosted digitally, all of the applications that you use, all of that, the data halls are the cloud. This is the infrastructure that powers our everyday lives. We have thousands of jobs to construct these buildings. For this particular development, there will be 6 buildings. It will take us several years to build those buildings. It will require at least 1,000 construction jobs. At the end of it, we're assuming, because the customer has some of the jobs, we're assuming between 160 to 220 full-time permanent jobs. Those jobs are primarily data center technicians. Data center technicians average at $80,000 a year as a starting salary. Who is QTS? QTS strives to be a very good neighbor. When we go into a new development, we want to partner with that community to understand the needs of that community. QTS employees get 4 days every year of paid volunteer time. We are encouraged, almost mandated, to go out and volunteer within the community, to be a part of the community. We also give a lot of money every year to philanthropic organizations in the communities where we work, where we operate, where we live, where we serve. Those are our core values. It's a lot of words. You can see it on our website. I want to get to the meat of what everybody cares about. The philanthropic giving I mentioned last year was almost $10 million. Our sustainability. We strive to be as sustainable as possible in our building, in our development, in our operations. We post and are very transparent about our sustainable practices. You can go to the qtsdatacenters.com website and find the 2004, it's always a year in arrears, our sustainability report. It will go into our water usage, it will go into our electricity usage, it will go into all of our practices. It is audited by third party. It is incredibly transparent. It's also very long. It's about a 65-page document, but we encourage anyone who is curious about QTS and our practices to read that document, or at least skim it for the things that you're interested in. All right, the elephant in the room, water usage. Our buildings are built to run the way that a typical commercial office building runs, minus our HVAC system. Our HVAC system is a closed loop system. It fills up once. It takes a lot of water to fill it up. It is the equivalent of slightly less than 4 Olympic-sized pools. We fill it up. Barring a catastrophic event, it is one and done. We are done. That system is closed. It does not evaporate. We do not pull any other water beyond that except for typical office use. Employees in the building have kitchens. They have bathrooms. They use water. They drink water. That is the typical, so this would be the same water usage on a daily basis as if this was an office building. Beyond that one-time fill-up, our HVAC systems, we require them to be incredibly resilient. They are solid infrastructure because we cannot afford for there to be failures. We cannot afford for there to be leaks. We cannot afford for that system to fail because we get penalized by our customers if we do not maintain certain temperatures. It's a very exact and a very robust HVAC system. So once we fill it up, that one-time fill, we are a typical office building use. 18,000 gallons per day maximum is what was reported for the permitting, but the decimal point, I think, got someone somewhere, and so that's the number that was being socialized. That is it for slides. So now I want to get to what is important to you guys, which is to have your questions answered. I'm going to bring up my team and some others. They're not moving. No, you're coming all the way up here. So first is going to be Jennifer and Bryce. They're going to talk to you about some of the mechanics and just go through the development, the timeline, those types of things. And then from there, we're going to open it up to you guys to ask questions. And any question that comes up, we have somebody here to answer it. So, Bryce and Jennifer.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Bryce. I'm with QTS. I'm on the construction team, so I will be here physically throughout the course of construction. I'm joined by Jennifer, who will be a part of pre-development and development through the course of this project. So to start out, I'll provide a quick overview and then get into what to expect during construction and hopefully hit on some of the topics that you're interested in. And then I'll hand it over to Jennifer to talk about what to expect after construction. So the site itself will consist of 6 data centers. It's located off of Gordon Highway the nearest intersection being East Robinson Avenue, I believe. As far as construction timeline, we are planning to begin tree clearing this spring, and then that'll be followed by the earth moving, or grading as it's called, which will start in the summer. The buildings themselves are not yet designed. That design will take part later this year, and then you can expect the first building, the first actual data center, to begin sometime next year. So what to expect during construction. Work hours. So standard work hours will be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Of course, we'll comply with all local noise ordinances and any other regulations by the HJ and the county. Lighting, there will be temporary lighting through the course of construction, and that will all be downcast away from any neighbors, being Haines Station to the east, who I know many of you guys are from, and then the other development to the west as well. Noise, it is a construction site, so during the work hours there will be noise. There will be trucks, heavy machinery operating, but again, that will not be taking place outside of our normal work hours, which we're currently slated between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Water and dust control. So the proximity to the neighborhoods, dust control is something that we do take very seriously. There will be haul roads in which the construction traffic's coming to and from site. Those haul roads will be sprayed by water trucks daily to reduce dust. There will also be street sweepers that are navigating around campus, and potentially the entrances to the campus in the instance that any sediment does get onto the roadways. Another thing that we will utilize is wheel wash stations, and wheel wash stations are essentially a place by the entrance where when trucks come out, they'll actually be hosed down so we are not tracking any mud or dust or dirt onto Gordon Highway. BMPs and stormwater protection. So we are joined by Thomas and Hutton. Where are you? Our civil engineer that can speak more if there are any questions, but I'll give it my best shot. Thomas and Hutton, our civil engineer, they design and submit erosion control as part of their civil package, and that includes things like silt fencing, retention ponds, sediment traps and basins, what the seeding requirements are. We'll be providing daily inspections by a third-party inspector to ensure that any water that's being discharged is in compliance with regulatory requirements. And on top of that, we will also have a third-party tester that is there every day, ensuring that all of our sediment and erosion control measures are performing in compliance. Moving on to logistics and traffic. So there is one designated entry. Unfortunately, I don't have a graphic here, but if you get a chance to look at the poster, you'll see on the bottom left-hand side, there is one way in, one way out initially. There is also an easement that Georgia Power has on the east side of our campus as well. The traffic will be managed by the general contractor throughout our earthwork, and then by the building contractor once we start the building next year. The goal with traffic is to obviously minimize the impact on Gordon Highway and minimize the impact to all the neighbors here and around. In order to do that, one thing that we'll also have is something called truck staging, and what that is that to avoid the backup along the road coming to the site, we'll actually have a place where trucks can go and turn off so that is within the site limits so that we don't impact the traffic on the road. The last thing I just wanted to touch on is security. So there will be an 8-foot chain link fence around the perimeter of the site. And there will also be gates. Those will be manned and managed by the general contractor and by us, QTS. And then when the buildings begin, we will have security on site 24/7 as well. So that's all I had for now. Happy to take questions after, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Jennifer to talk about what to expect after construction. Thank you.
I'm Jennifer. I'll talk a little bit about what to expect once the site is operational. So once the buildings are built and they go online, our site will be very quiet. We will have generators on site, but they'll only operate in the case of an emergency. So if the area were to have a power outage, that might be a situation where our generators would be run. And they're also run for periodic testing, but they don't run all the time. We will obtain air permits in accordance with local, state, and federal requirements as well. Karen spoke to our water usage, but again, it's a closed loop cooling system, and we'll have very low operational water demand, similar to a commercial building. And our lighting will be downcast and pointed away from the residential property lines. So we're trying to be the least obtrusive that we can be there. Our final landscape will have permanent landscape buffers, and we'll have permanent K-rated fencing around the perimeter of our site. We really value being good members of the communities that we're in. We care about our neighbors, and you'll probably see us out in the community volunteering. We'll probably ask our GCs to help pick up trash in the area. We're proud to be a member of this community, and we hope to prove that we're worthy of being your neighbors. If you ever do have questions or concerns, we have a website. You can probably just Google QTS Augusta, and I think Karen will share the actual website, but you can go there and submit any questions or comments. I promise we monitor that inbox really carefully, and we try to respond to any questions or feedback or concerns that we get. And that's it.
Okay, so I'm going to open it up for Q&A after one more, because thank you, Jen, for reminding me. So this is not and your commissioner, I think, mentioned it, this is not the only time that we will be out here. We will look to come out on a quarterly basis and have this type of conversation with you, answer questions. But in the meantime, in between that, and we'll vary times and we'll vary locations to make sure that the community has the ability based on schedules. So you will hear from us on another schedule or another event in the next couple of months. In the meantime, qts.com/Augusta, or just Google QTS in Augusta. There is a web page for this project. It will be updated regularly with key things to know. The site plan will be available there. And your frequently asked questions will get added to that. So we will take the conversation from tonight, distill it into topics, and we will post that on the page. So you will constantly have a source of truth about what this project is. The other thing to know is on that page, there is a place to click to ask questions. So you don't have to wait till the next event. If you have a question about a specific thing, or you want to inquire about where we're going to post jobs eventually, or you have an idea of how we could be a good partner in this community, we want to hear it in that moment. So you can go to that page, click on that, fill out as much or as little information as you really want besides what's required, and communicate with us that way. Like Jen said, it is there's several of us monitoring. I am one of the ones that monitors it, and we will follow up and respond to you. Even if the answer is, we can't talk about that. If you call or if you submit something and you say, who are the customers going to be? That's going to be the answer. We're never going to talk about our customers. That's a security thing. It's just bad practice to do, and we won't do it, but we will tell you, these are the types of customers. It's your medical providers, it's banking institutions, it's every app on your phone. It's a lot of things, but we'll never name customers. So if we can't tell you, we won't. But every other question that we can answer, we will, and we will do it in a timely manner. So that is our guarantee to you. We are not going away. We are here. We want to engage. On that note, questions? Over here. There's a mic if you want. Yeah.
For the sake of transparency and clarity, I'm asking everyone who's coming up to the mic to provide their name and address. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zakia, and I live in Haines Station. We spoke in front of the commission on 20 January, and I have one. I'm not going to give my address. It's on the record. I have one question for clarity. Can the QTS and the city outline the specific decision points that have already occurred in this process? And with what are the future ones that are still required for public or commission action? If you want, I'm going to read it again. Can you please clarify what specific decision points I've raised have already occurred in this process, and which further approvals still require public input and/or commission action?
I'm going to ask staff to come and address this question.
So my name is Amanda Cruz. I work with Planning and Development. I have a PowerPoint up, but I'll just read my slides. I don't think it's up on the screen anymore, unfortunately, but I can let you know some of your answers to your questions. So first and foremost, the rezoning history, I think is what you were asking, kind of the decision points of what's been happening. So in 2022, we had our developer T5, and they, oh, here's my PowerPoint. Okay, perfect. Awesome. All right, so here is our rezoning history. As you see, we have our developer T5. They were required to submit to our Central Savannah River Area Regional Commission for comments. And I do want to say comments just because they send out to our neighboring community members, neighboring counties, individual parties who might be individuals like GDOT or FEMA or parties like that who would have stake in this development. They provide comments, but they are not going to give approval on whether or not this should be approved. It's still on the municipality to give that approval, so it is for comments only. There was a Planning Commission public meeting and approval on May 2nd, 2022, followed by an Augusta Commission public meeting on August 2nd, 2022. So that was the very first one from a previous developer, okay? Fast forward 2 years later, we have our developer of QTS. They are now same address, it just switched from Powell to Gordon Highway, but same location. They also had to resubmit because it did, as I think everybody knows, it got a little bit bigger, right? We have different, different centers here. They were still required to submit to that CSRA Regional Commission for comments. We received comments back. We had that public meeting for Planning Commission on June 3rd, 2024, followed by the Augusta public meeting on June 18th, 2024. They came back in 2025 because they added one site that was about 16 acres located at 350 Digital Drive. I do have a concept plan on one of the screens so I can show you the two different areas. But that meeting was on August 4th, 2025 for Planning Commission, and then the Augusta Commission was on August 19th, 2025.
Thank you for that background.
You're
And so what decision points are still yet to be made in By Home?
Yeah, I got you.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's still moving or not. There we go. Okay, so these were still kind of the rezoning. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you all can take pictures. These are the exact rezoning commission conditions from 2025 that they will be held standard to when they submit their site plans. If they, I can move out of the way. If they do not meet any of these conditions, they will not receive their site plan approval, being that they cannot exceed 68 feet in height. They have a first phase, which they're looking at the wetlands, which I think they had kind of talked about. They have some wetland areas. They had an existing inert landfill. I don't know if you all were familiar with the landfill that was right near them, but they had to remediate that. And that was one of their first phases. They also need to provide that enhanced landscape buffer along Gordon Highway. They need to work with traffic engineering. They have that lighting downcast, and they need to provide enough parking. Here we have what they provided in 2025. We have the 2 sites. We have, to the right, Haines Station. We have the buffering that they were talking about that is provided with Haines Station is due to, if you all are familiar with the overhead power lines, so they can't touch that. And then to the left, there is 50-foot buffering between Weatherstone Townhomes, which is a newer development, and Captain's Corner. If we look at the top, they will have to submit their plans to multiple municipalities. They have to submit to us with all of these data centers. At the very top, you see a line. They have to submit to Columbia County. They put their detention pond up there. And then their water lines run through Grovetown. So they submit to 3 municipalities there. And here's where we're at. So they received approval for their remediation to start the inert landfill, which is probably what you all saw with the moving around of the dirt and the incoming. In 2025, December 2025, they received notification from Georgia EPD that all the waste had been removed from that landfill. That was one of the conditions of their rezoning. And then January 21st, 2026, they were able to move forward now that they had gotten that notification that they can go ahead with grading.
That was the answer.
So they had to submit to Georgia EPD because they are over a 50-acre mark. And then as of today, their grading plans are still being reviewed, so there's no permit yet for their grading, and there's no permits that have been done for their buildings. So the only thing that they've done so far is remediate that landfill. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Sheffy Robinson, address 805 Burlington Drive. So as you guys are wanting to be good stewards in the community, what are your plans for actual workforce development? Picking up trash is great, but that doesn't move the needle. So as a constituent, I'm 25 years a software engineer with DevOps and cloud engineering experience, so I understand what you're doing. But if everybody you bring in are transplants, that doesn't really help. So how are you engaging the Richmond County School Board, the institutions of higher learning? How are you guys planning to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and that's exactly what we'll do. When we start moving dirt, which is soon, which is why we decided to kick off the community meeting, now is where we'll start building those relationships. So working with the school systems is top priority, working with the local tech schools, community colleges, anywhere that there is already some form or desire to have a workforce development program, we will engage in conversations because we need workforce. So it depends from site to site and from region to region, how we engage is a little bit different. Georgia's very easy to engage with because this isn't new. It's new for Augusta and we understand that, but it's not new. And so we have a lot of relationships that we can leverage here. To do that, but that is our goal, to work with the school systems, to engage with tech schools, community colleges, any place that has a desire to say we want to start a program, and we will help them with curriculum, we will help them with funding, we will help them with whatever the need is depending on where they're at in their stage of wanting to build this type of program. And it's not just for the data center tech jobs. Those are a big one, but those are actually more for the customer than they are for us. We want to work with building programs towards electricians, fiber and cable laying, just labor jobs, all of the jobs. So our goal is to reach out within the community, which we're going to start doing now in early 2026, to figure out where the desire is and start building those relationships. But it's one of the, I would say, top 5 things that's part of my job to go do. Yes, so QTS is, again, I mentioned we're a very patriotic company. 26% of our overall workforce are former military. It might be a little bit higher than that, close to 30%. Our facilities department specifically, I think it's closer to 60-some%. We really like Navy nukes. But we have a lot of partnerships. The names of the programs, I know we do,
Skillbridge.
SkillBridge, thank you. See, so we have several partnerships that across the board we've integrated with before. So we'll leverage those as well for those types of jobs.
Thank you.
Good evening, how are you? My name is Dennis Torme, 5407 Cops Drive, Haines Station, here in Augusta. I'm a retired attorney of about 30 years, retired county employee of about 20 years, not this county. My questions are actually addressed more to our government representatives here. You've already answered the question that this has not been in final approval. And as you can see, the citizens and the residents of this community are very concerned that our interests are being protected. Yes, you say all the right things and say all the right buzzwords about, you know, the generators very rarely run. I come from a county that has over 300 high industrial generators. You have to test them, you have to maintain them. There's bank loads, there's a lot of stuff, and when those things run, you hear them. From that map over there, you're just feet from Haines Station, about 350 feet according to Google Maps. This is going to impact this community greatly. And there's some real estate experts here who talk about the impact on our home values. I actually have a list of about 28 concerns, but seeing the size of this group, I'm happy that they came out. My only question now is, before the final approval, will you address these concerns about environmental impact study type plan? Does this trigger the Safe Water Act? Does it trigger the federal acts? Do you have a partner from Fort Gordon, a major player on this corridor? I mean, so many concerns. Will somebody take this list of concerns, respond to it, and then not approve anything further until this is made part of the public record?
I'm going to invite, thank you. I'm going to invite members of our planning department and possibly utilities as well to come and address these concerns.
Okay. And if we could get a single point of contact of someone that can respond to the whole community with just one person, whether they say, yes, this report is here. You mentioned Georgia Power. Is there an approved letter for the power grid consumption? You know, is there someone here from the water utilities? Is there, you know, it just goes on and on and on.
Yes, sir.
I'm back. All right, so I can answer some of your questions, and then I know you can see some other individuals from the city coming up. So as far as you mentioned wetlands, so part of their submission, they will have to submit to Army Corps of Engineers because they are impacting the wetlands. One of the centers does go over the wetlands. And so they will have to get approval from Army Corps of Engineers. Until we get that letter from the Army Corps of Engineers that they are good with what they're doing essentially, it will not be approved from us, right? Same with FEMA for flood. We have to get approvals for certain things like that with permitting. Part of the rezoning process, multiple times when any development is within a certain distance from Fort Gordon, we notify them. We provide all of the application documents, we provide the site plan, and we get comments from them. If they weren't okay with it, they would let us know. So that's also part of our report as well. But I would be more than happy to give you my card at the end of this or when I'm done speaking. And you can contact me for anything related to planning and development, because those are things that we do take seriously and that we have to do, not just with data centers, but any site plan, any development, any rezoning when it impacts wetlands, flood. We even reached out, like I said, to Fort Gordon. When we saw that there was Columbia County, we reached out to Columbia County. Like I said, they'll have to submit to Grovetown because their water lines go through. And until all of those players agree, these plans will not be approved. They will not receive permitting.
Right, and you mentioned the conditions that were part of that approval.
Yes.
What if the things that we're concerned about, which are legitimate legal requirements,
Yes.
are not included in that list of conditions? Will it be then modified?
So our rezoning conditions are additional on top of legal requirements. So they have to meet all site plan requirements, all development requirements, all of the requirements from other departments like utilities, engineering, traffic, all of their requirements, in addition to those conditions on top, in addition to all of the conditions for legality for, Columbia County, for Army Corps of Engineers. They meet all of that, plus on top the zoning conditions. So it's a lot that they have to meet, and as planners or as plan reviewers, we make sure, that everything is in there.
Yes, and you mentioned Columbia County, which just approved 2 data centers and declined 1. So we hope that our public officials will do the right thing.
Yes.
So will you accept this list of items and see if they are integrated, and then provide us an opportunity to review the public documents before any further approval goes on?
I mean, you're always able to do an open records request and get all of our documents, and I think
That's kind of a
DPS
sidestep. That's kind of a sidestep.
Yeah, stated that they can see the
Which
site
one?
plan, but I wasn't sure what maybe you had asked.
Do we have any elected officials here?
Yeah.
Do we have any other attorneys here?
Hey, let's do this though, because again, we got a lot of folks in here.
Yes.
That want to ask questions. You've asked about 10 right now. We
Yeah.
definitely want to get your questions. So let's move you to the side, and then we can get your documents and your concerns. Well, hold on. Because again, there's a lot of questions that he's asking that's people are going to have to research to make sure that's in the requirements. So, hold on.
Without having to do a search.
I got it. But again, we want everybody to be able to get their questions answered. So what we're gonna do is have him with his 28 questions move to the side to talk to one of our experts so that we can keep it moving. All right, we are here for a specific period of time. I want as many of you all to get in here and answer questions. Again, I can't speak to what Columbia County's doing. We're talking about Richmond County. So we want to make sure that Richmond County gets their questions answered. And again, I got it. But again, we're not going to be able to all yell at each other either. So let's just make sure that we get you, we're going to get you over here to the side, sir, with planning and development and our other departments. And then if we have some more points of clarity, we'll bring those up so that the public can hear those as well. Is that fair enough?
Fair enough.
Thank you. We'll go to the next question. Plan development, you guys take him to the side. Let's get some clarity, and then we'll bring that back up so that more folks hear and understand what it is. But again, folks, let's understand something. Let's clarify something. This company has gone through purchasing a site that was already zoned for a data center. Like Amanda said, there are a number of things that still have to go through approval. The whole point of this is for you all to get informed about what's going on and ask your questions. Are we going to have all the questions right now? Probably not. Some things are going to have to be researched and ensure that we get back to you all. That's the whole point of communication, and that's the whole point of us setting aside this time so that we can do it. If this means we have to have additional meetings, QTS is here. They're willing and they're ready. They could have came and just let the city just come and do this, but again, it's not our project. It's their project, and they're here to answer your questions and concerns. All right, is that fair enough? Thank you. Let's go to the next question.
My name is Eric Gaines, 3604 Abbey Road. This question is for the developers. In reference to the roughly 1,000 so construction workers that you're projecting for this project, I'm curious to know how many folks are you, how many local Augusta, Richmond County workers are you planning on hiring to do this project? And will you also make this a part of your contracting requirements when you start bidding the work out?
Good question. Part of workforce development also definitely leans into the same. We will hire our general contractors that are our core partners that are in Georgia. They will hire our trade partners, our mechanical, electrical, concrete, steel, drywall trades also. They will solicit pricing in competitive nature, just as any construction projects are. We do look for efficiency and local knowledge in our building. So it's always one of our initiatives. If there are local qualified contractors that can be a part of our program, absolutely. So. That would be part of our general contractors program, but I can definitely get back to you on that. I mean, I'll say we work all over Georgia. Our team. We do have travel crews that come in and relocate. I actually think one of the cool things about a lot of these programs is our ability to relocate also and grow teams local. So businesses actually come start businesses in the local community to support the program. To answer your question, we will, in our RFP process to our contractors, put a preference to hire local.
Yeah, I think that's important because if you're going to do a project in Industrial County, you need to hire the workers that are here at this time.
Sure. I agree. Good question.
Next question.
Good afternoon. I'm Charles Abel. I live in Haines Station. I was at the January 20th meeting. So I have questions for both QTS and for our commission meeting since our last one. So with your data center is about 12.1 million square feet. So that roughly breaks down to about 358,000 square feet per building, which is about the size of a Walmart. The one thing you have on your drawings is you show the buildings, but where are the generators? You do not show where the generators are. You do not show how many generators there are. What's the size of the generators you're going to put out? What is the amount of noise that these are going to create? I'm in the Army. I know the size of these generators. They are loud. And the more that you guys, I know they got to be tested because you're not just going to turn them on and hope and pray that they're gonna turn on when the power goes out. Everybody in here probably has a generator that they have in their backyard, and they know that they can hear it about a block away. So these are about 10 to 100 times that size, and the noise all the research that I've done and all the things that I've seen being deployed, the more generators that turn on, it takes longer for that noise to dissipate. So what size are these gonna be? How many per building are you gonna have?
Yes, good questions. If you look at the master plan, they're not shown. The blocks on the buildings where you see, if you're looking at our plans, the generators are running alongside the entire building. It changes depending on the design of the building. We're not quite there on that one. The gens themselves, I think, are 1.25 cats, so 1.25 or 1.5 meg cats. They are big generators. They are meant for backup. They are meant for backup in case there is utility and or equipment issues inside the building. Testing, we do, I think, monthly 1 hour tests on the generators, typically during the day. We do follow and catalog all of our EPD and our hour tracking. We have a lot of smart people that track that on our teams. Noise, I will say all of the buildings are set to where the gens are facing toward the inside, and we put walls on the outside, and each one of the generators have noise mufflers on the top. The actual noise is tough to say, but we can get that data for sure.
Okay.
I'll say I've built several. We have been building several. And even in Atlanta, and we operate them with close proximity to other businesses and things, and we we have not had issues.
Okay.
So,
Now, on, there were GRIs created for T5 and for your buildings. Both of them stated there's going to be no hazardous materials on the premises. You will not create any hazardous materials, but isn't diesel, the oil that's going to be in these generators, is that not considered hazardous waste?
I'm actually not, do you know that?
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, there are no hazardous materials in the catalog. The diesel fuel, so if you submit that question on our online portal, I'll get back to you with our environmental team.
Okay. The, some of the things, at least for, I mean, the gentleman before me had a lot of the questions, or he took a lot of mine, so.
Yeah. For the sake of time, I do want to allow everyone to at least ask one question while we have everyone in line, if you don't mind.
Okay.
We will have workstations after the Q&A where you can definitely go and get your questions answered and exchange information.
All right, sounds good, thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Elizabeth Folks, 2526 Central Avenue, Augusta. I have over 30 years in IT and information security. I also have a degree, two dual master's degrees in IT and information security assurance, and an underpinning degree in network administration. So the question that he asked about waste really is important, especially on a wetland. However, when we look at a data center and it's all nice and shiny and we're like, okay, it's AI, oh, this is wonderful. Have we considered the problems that we have found with other data centers? The noise has driven people out of their homes. The waste and chemical problems that not only enter our air, our land, and our water. Not only that, I don't recall being asked if we wanted a data center in Richland County. But I can go farther than that. Historically, when a data center comes into a neighborhood, the people pay for the cost of the electricity. The people pay for the use of the water, which is astronomical. You do one little search on AI, you know what that costs? Over a year's worth of utilities for that one search. Do you know that? So what's it going to cost the citizens for this data center, let alone the tax rebate that you've probably given them to come in to build this data center?
I'm going to sort of divide your question up. We do have Georgia Power here tonight to maybe answer your questions about
Good evening. My name is Kerry Bridges with Georgia Power. So your question is relevant all over the state. It's relevant all over the country about power cost. The good news for Georgia is that a year ago in January, the Public Service Commission that regulates Georgia Power passed new rules and regulations that require us by rule to make sure that QTS and all data centers, really all large load customers, pay their fair share plus more. And so we do that multiple ways. So one, they pay for all costs to serve on site. They pay for all costs that are incurred through transmission all the way back to generation. And so that has allowed us to freeze base rates for the next 3 years. We've frozen our base power rates for 2026, 2027, and 2028. We've also committed, because of large load customers coming to Georgia and the revenue that they bring with them, we've committed to lowering and saving our customers over $100 in 2029. That'll be addressed in 2028. We go through a really complicated process every 3 years. It's the Integrated Resource Plan, it's IRP for short. And so what we do is we take a 20-year look into the future for generation needs for Georgia. We take a 10-year look into the future for transmission needs for Georgia. And we take a 3-year look into the future for customer programs like energy efficiency and things like that. We go through a really lengthy process for about 6 months and work with the Public Service Commission to make sure that we have the right generation, the right transmission, and the right plan in place to keep up with Georgia's growing needs. On December 19th, just a couple of weeks ago, in 2025, last year, the Public Service Commission approved Georgia Power to add 10,000 additional megawatts to make sure that we have enough power to provide for these customers. The good news is it's not going to put any pressure on our existing 2.8 million customers across the state. In fact, it's actually allowed us to freeze base rates and lower them down the road once more of our customers, our data center customers, are up and running. So does that answer your question from a power electricity cost side?
Except, what happens in year 4?
Say that again.
What happens in year 4?
So
My power bill's already $400 a month.
yeah, so we've frozen, I'll say it again, we've frozen base rates for 2026, 2027, and 2028, and we've committed to lowering rates at least $100 in 2029, in the 4th year. That will be addressed in the 2028 rate case that handles the next 3 years.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Keisha. I'm over the utility engagement team here at QTS. And some of the other things that we do here in the state of Georgia is we partner with Georgia Power to help with homeowners with their energy efficiency programs and weatherization of their homes to help lower the cost of their bills. So we are willing and ready to begin that partnership here too and provide assistance that way too with your power bills.
That doesn't solve the problem for us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Angela Backus, 1437 Jackson Road. I think what I've heard from the community so far is that the concern is transparency. It's not you guys. We don't know you guys, but it's the process and the lack of transparency. At least that's what it feels like. Even this meeting is more reactionary than being proactive because according to the timeline, it's been going on for 4 years. So my question would be, where were the rezoning signs posted at? Do you guys have photos of that? Because around the same time y'all started rezoning the first time, there was another project on Dixon Airline Road, the biodigester, and we found out that they were at the very last phase of being approved when our community found out about it because the rezoning sign was placed on Mike Paget, not at the actual site. And the signs are about this big. Now, if you're a resident, and one of the residents did talk about that at the town hall, if you're a resident wanting to put a utility building on your property, Planning and Zoning puts out a huge sign, but something that's going to affect the entire community gets one of those little tiny signs. So where were those signs placed at? And what can we do in the future to make sure, because I also heard it said, well, nobody complains so far because people didn't know.
So part of my job, I run the Planning Commission. Now, I've been here for 2 years, so 2024 and 2025, I physically put the signs out. I didn't pick them up. I put them on Gordon Highway at the site. In 2024, I put the sign out by, I don't know if you're all familiar where the T5 billboard was, near there, because that was the marker of where it was, and our rezoning signs are bigger neon yellow and they have the rezoning on it. 2025, that billboard was gone due to Helene, of course. But I did put it, there's a house on Gordon Highway after the house, because that house is not part of this. And before Weatherstone, there was a larger real estate sign. But we do have pictures of all of those. 2022, we also have pictures. I don't have them in my physical PowerPoint. I know that we had sent them out, I believe, during Augusta Commission because we did have a request for all of those rezoning signs. We always take pictures of them.
Yes, you gave them to us after the commission meeting.
Yes.
And we have a survey that we've done, and about 60 people have filled it out.
Sure.
And out of the 60 people, how many people saw the rezoning sign?
1.
Okay, 1 person out of the 60 people says they recall seeing either 3 of the signs. We have it in the survey, the 3 signs, only 1.
Sorry,
new environment for him. Good evening, Jonathan Gibbs, third closest neighbor to the Plant Center on Goodale Ave in Haines Station. I'm sure the red awning at the front of the center will be beautiful, but I'll be standing and staring at the back of that building when I'm sitting in my lawn chair and playing fetch with my dog. You addressed water concerns, stating that only 18,000 gallons of water per day will be used for normal office space. That math needs to be broken down a bit because 200 office workers only require about 4,000 gallons per day. So what's the other 14,000 gallons for? And yeah, that's kind of stuff that just puts a bad taste in our mouth when you go and you throw numbers and they just don't add up. Like, that's not going to build trust. And then when you stood up here and you talked so much about water, but it wasn't until a question was asked before we even talked about the grid, the likelihood of more power outages. That's stuff that needs to be kind of up at the front. Those are our main concerns. Now I can see, and I think anybody can see, how good of a deal this is going to be for the city, bringing a lot of money. We can do a lot of projects. And I can see how it's really good for QTS, who's now what you guys were. Used to be public traded, but now what you do, you're not public traded anymore. There's 2,000 of you in BlackRock, right? Blackstone. Thank you for clarifying. I mean, because I'm not kidding. I'd buy stock if it was available, because if you can't beat them, join them, right? And y'all are about to make a lot of money. All right, but it's only at the financial strain of my fellow Augustans. And I don't appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Maria. I'm a current college student. I live in Will Haven. So these generators, they produce this thing called PM 2.5. And basically, it's particles small enough. They're smaller than the diameter of your hair, and usually within 30 minutes, they cause respiratory distress. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, how are y'all gonna eliminate that, you know, from getting into our air, because that is, you know, we're the ones affected by that. You know, the nitrogen oxides.
Thank you for your question. I'd like to get that question from you, and I can get one of our environmental specialists to follow up with you. Is that good?
Yes. Then I have one more, and then I won't take up all your time. You, right there, with the purple, like, you know, suit kind of, I found you very disrespectful, because this is our city and we voted all of y'all in. All of y'all commissioners in can get voted out just as fast. That old man, everyone has someone old in our life. And you to just dismiss him so fast and say, well, you got like 28 questions and that OTS doesn't owe us this meeting. They owe us this meeting.
Thank you.
That is just so disrespectful. You owe everybody in this room an apology because you know how to talk to people that voted.
Yes, ma'am.
That is disrespectful.
Thank you.
What's poppin', what's cracking? I'm here, I just have a few questions.
I'm going to have to limit to one just for the sake of time, because we do want to give the workstations a chance for people to ask more detailed questions, if you don't mind.
Well, I can't limit it to one because it works together, so I'll try to limit it to two. You were speaking about the employment earlier, okay? And you're also saying that this project is not approved yet. Now, to my understanding, the portion that's approved is the 1.67 million square feet that would have 3 buildings. The 400,000 additional square footage is being requested currently to add, which would create 6 buildings. And that has not been approved, but the 1.67 million square feet facility, they can currently start building that right now because it has been gone through the full process, and they can start building on it, correct? When I say
Rezoning?
approved, it's been through planning and zoning, it's ready for pre-construction, they can start building.
So they've been through rezoning,
Yes.
but they are still in site plan. So they haven't even gotten their grading permit yet to do that.
Okay.
So they have their rezoning, their land is zoned properly.
Correct.
But they need to submit all of their plans. They have no permits yet. The only permit they got was for the landfill, and they have remediated that. So
So-
they cannot just go out there right now and start building. They still are in the review phase of their plans.
Okay.
So their zone is good. They went through Planning Commission, Augusta Commission. They're good on that, but they're going through the review of their site plans.
Well, I thought Commissioner Clark just said that it was already, the rezoning had already been approved.
The rezoning, correct,
Yes.
but not the construction plans. Those plans are the next step after, now that rezoning has been done.
Now, to my understanding, when you already approved for your zoning, you submit your plans for the facility, and it has to be approved, but they can build what they want to build once they get the zoning for it, correct?
It's a concept plan that they present, which is what I showed on screen, and those come with conditions, but they still have to submit all of their plans to the reviewing party. So planning and development, utilities, engineering, traffic engineering, GIS, they all still have to review it for all of their ordinances and legal components. I think I was speaking earlier, they have to go through the Army Corps of Engineers and their FEMA, and they can't just start building right away without all of those approvals.
So that hasn't been approved yet
No.
through the Corps?
No.
Okay, so that's my question that joins with this question, okay? There's underground aquifers that's going to be disturbed, and so,
If you don't mind, I'm going to ask the planning department to make sure you set up at one of the stations, because I do want to be respectful of the people who are.
okay, I'm gonna move on out, but can I please finish this? It's working together, okay? I'll get off that portion. My next question is, these 200 jobs that are supposed to be permanent jobs, to my understanding, some of these jobs are remote jobs, so it's not gonna be physical bodies in this facility, manning this facility. So if there's an emergency or something that pops off, who's going to notify the community that there's an emergency? Because there's a lot of servers in there that create heat, which could create a fire. There's also generators that make a lot of noise. Look, I'm not here to oppose development. I'm here for development, but it's a way that you have to do it, especially when you're coming into the community, such as smack dab in front of Haines Station. 350 feet is really close. And for generators to be running all the time, I'm a previous cyber intelligence person. I worked in automation. Those servers they're loud. They run all day and all night.
Yes, servers in the building. So the question that I heard was the 200 permanent jobs.
Yeah.
Those are critical mission critical jobs. They are on site. They are not remote jobs.
Okay.
Those would be the security guards that have to be patrolling the buildings, patrolling the grounds. That would be the maintenance. That would be the data center technicians. They have to be physically on site. When a server goes down, they need to do part swaps. So all of those jobs that we're talking about, permanent jobs, those are physically on-site jobs.
And there is a lot of security for this facility of that type of magnitude. So the surveillance is going to be encroaching in on the homes that it's actually in, you know what I mean? It's actually
The security
centered.
cameras would be pointing
Yeah.
towards our entrances, towards our buildings. They're not pointing towards there's no method of the security cameras surveilling the neighborhoods at all. The distances are too great, and what we patrol would be the entrances, so yeah, no.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Kristen. I will not be giving you my exact address, but I live on Goodale Drive, 350 feet away from this being built. I have many concerns, seeing as I'm going to be a mother in 2 months. I'm concerned about my son's developing lungs and your air quality. I'm concerned about the water I'll be putting in his formula and with all the water that you're going to be using. But I will keep it to one question. We keep hearing that tree cutting and dirt moving will be happening in spring, summer, soon. I would love an exact date if you have one.
We're actually still working through the permits process and waiting for approval to get started. So
Okay.
I would like a date too.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I'm also one of the lucky Goodale residents, about 350 feet from the lovely buildings that you want to build. I do want to ask, what is the timeline? I know you don't have specifics yet, but as far as going from 1 building to 6, what does that timeline look like?
It's a good question. My bosses say it needs to be faster. As of right now, we'll, like Bryce said, we'll probably start the first building potentially the beginning of 27. I would imagine they'll continue through about 33. So roughly a year per building.
So the power discounts that you're talking about, or Georgia Power talked about, a majority of the power won't even be at max capacity yet by the time that those lowered rates have been approved through, just to make a point. My main question to come up here is, we're a military family, 20 plus years, relocated to Augusta 3 years ago, just shy of 3 years ago, after the T4 or whomever pulled out of their data center, knew nothing about this data center coming. We come to these areas as military, we buy homes, we invest ourselves into the communities, and then in return, we now may not be able to sell our home, we'll lose lots of money, and you guys will make millions of dollars. You say that you want to invest in our community, so how are you going to offset the real estate values that are now going to tank?
Thank you for your question. We really are hard pressed for time. I do want to ask.
Let me ask this then, the lady in the green. If you lived 350 feet from a data center and bought a home and you needed to move to support your family, how would you feel about that?
I do. I live in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is Data Center Alley.
Is your home 350 feet from a data
I haven't done the
center?
measurements, but it's very close, yes.
I bet you it's not 350.
I am surrounded by data centers. Northern Virginia has some of the highest property values. 21615 Marion Street.
But at the end of the day, we came out to this event to have our questions answered, and I think less of them have been answered than actually answered. And if you're a company that's building hundreds of these, I feel like you should have more solid answers to be able to answer our questions. Thank you.
To address further, we do have index cards on the back table with pens. If you want to leave your name and number, we will definitely make sure that between Augusta, QTS, we do provide feedback for you. So it's not the fact we don't want to answer your question, we just want to conserve time, but also provide a chance to provide feedback at a later date. Thank you.
My name is Kalila Wright. I am a resident of Haines Station. My question is more geared towards the city. Out of all this commercial land that we have in Augusta, Gordon Highway has plenty of vacant property. Why are we choosing to go right in our backyard when we have so much commercial property? And the city has been giving grants for years to improve the visualization and the income of Gordon Highway. Why haven't we taken this down on the lower end where all those automotive companies have sat and they're vacant and it's an eyesore? That seems to me like a great place to go ahead and put a data center besides our backyard.
I'm going to ask Planning and Development to just kind of explain the process real quickly. Yeah.
So when it comes to rezonings, we only look at really the property and the rezoning. We can't dictate who comes in and puts in an application for rezoning. I know I'm not answering your question at all.
Not at all.
Not at all, and I understand that completely, but I can't be biased when an application comes in and states this is what they want to do, and this is the reason why. I have to look at the facts of the ordinance that states, can this be done? Are they following this? What can be done? And that sort of thing. Now, in 2022, I was not here, but I can tell you, based on the reports that I've looked at, they followed everything of our ordinance, which is why staff, recommended this in 2022, but we can't be biased on what comes into our backyard and what doesn't, where something goes and where it doesn't. It's just who applies for that land and who is coming in. And at that time it was T5 and it got rezoned. And then in 2024 it was QTS.
And I understand that, but just like you just said, you can't approve or disapprove who applies. But what we can do as a city is to say that will not be in this district or this area. That's what we can do. So we can most certainly, just like you said, you approve and disapprove, that should be me personally, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us in here feel the same way. We got plenty of property in Augusta that we could have had to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
How you doing? My name is Anthony Walker, Trinity Circle, Augusta, Georgia. I stay in Wellhaven subdivision, the fourth house in the neighborhood. And my question is to the city leaders, and I have been emailing Ms. McKnight for the last maybe 8 months, and my question is for our subdivision. How is this data center going to affect our traffic, which is already congested? We have had several car wrecks where we had to go out to the intersection and pull people out their cars, parents and family members coming up crying and everything else like that. I have an email back from 2019 where it was said that a red light should be able to go in front of Haynes Station as well as Wellhaven Station. And then in 2025, another email came out and said that one cannot go there. Why can we get a red light there? We've been requesting a meeting for months at a time, and we cannot get a meeting. But there's one going on at Haynes Station, but we're fighting traffic all the way from Barton Chapel Road all the way to East Robinson. Coming out the neighborhood is very dangerous, and our safety should be first.
Good evening. Hamid Mali with Augusta Engineering. The traffic light, the Gordon Avenue State route, so we had to go through the same permitting that everybody else to go through for Haynes Station, and that right now, in the process and all that, and any other new development still has to go through the same process through the state, and we'll be involved. So there are certain requirements has to be met to put a red light. It's not that that the majority want a red light and we can put it. We have to meet that warrants, what they call, and at least to meet 3 or 4 warrants. So that's the process we have to go through. And Haynes Station, it took almost three years to get to where we are, So.
Yes, ma'am.
Wanda Samuels, 5385 Cops Drive in Haynes Station. We have one commissioner that did come forward and talk to us after our January commission meeting, and that was this gentleman here. We really appreciate that. We're all represented by this lady right here with the brown skirt. Just like she's doing tonight, she walked from person to person whispering to them, but she never addressed us, even tonight. I understand this, what they signed non-disclosures. When we vote again, let's make sure we vote somebody that will not sign a non-disclosure for any company.
So, can you come up front, ma'am?
I'm not going to be addressing the questions I have on my list, but a lot of people here have questions. And it would be nice that as a commission, the City of Augusta would create a website that lists every question that's being asked about the data center and to post answers so that we can actually see a written response, and therefore it's no he said, she said.
So for those of you that came just a little bit late, I'm going to allow QTS to come and talk about their website and how maybe possibly we can work with them to make sure that information is disseminated between the two entities.
If you submit those questions on the website, we will answer every single one of them. We can answer directly to you. If you indicate on that you would like it to be posted on the website and it is appropriate in language, because we may edit depending on how the wording is, but we will answer them, yes.
So before we go to the breakout sessions, I do want to just say, we hear you.
I am your commissioner, and we will be here for another 15 minutes. We're going to do breakout stations and allow you to go to stations and talk to people. That's the best way we can do it. Thank you.
Hey everyone, let me clarify a couple things. The point of this meeting tonight is to bring the community together to learn about this business that's coming into the area. Hold on.
Who gets to decide what the point of the meeting is? We asked for the meeting. Right.
The point of the meeting is so that everyone can get informed about this project and other projects like it that are coming across the entire state. Okay? Now, I'm not up here so that you can like everything I say, because guess what? We want to make sure that our community gets informed about what this is. It's going on all around us, all right? I'm not trying to cut anybody off. I'm definitely not trying to be dismissive of anyone. That's why when you all came before the commission, I came out to speak to you all. Because again, this is not a City of Augusta project. The City of Augusta is hosting this meeting so that our community can get informed about what this is, so that our community can provide their feedback, so that our community can get informed about what this company is doing. Let me make sure that everybody understands something. There's legalities that go on with every single thing that Amanda has talked about that's happened. And every single step of that was appropriately followed to the letter. From advertising it in the newspaper, to putting the signs up, to advertising the planning and development meetings that happen on a consistent basis. There are numerous projects that the city has proposed that comes before the city that get shut down because the community comes out and provides their feedback during those meetings. This particular site was zoned in 2022. 2022. Okay, I got it, but I'm just telling you the dates. So what I'm telling you all this is everything that everyone is telling you all is what was followed to the letter, to the law, and otherwise. Hold on, y'all, we can't all talk. So what we're trying to tell you all is this. What we're telling you is this. QTS has already stated that they are coming back to have more sessions. The only way that we can get to a better understanding of any of this is what we're doing right here. You all providing your feedback, you all providing your concerns, we providing the folks that are making themselves available. Many of them flew in specifically for this meeting to answer your questions. This meeting was hosted to answer your questions. Every Tuesday. Come on to the mic so we can hear you, so everybody can hear you, sir.
I'm pretty darn sure that I'm talking for majority of the people here, all right? We don't want it here.
Okay.
We've read all the bad crap about these data centers all across the United States.
Right.
We don't need it right next to houses, 350 yards from our homes, okay? There is so much land in this great country of ours that isn't close to housing that these things could be built on.
Right.
We don't want it here.
Understood?
That's the bottom line,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let me ask everybody this. And again, I'm in District 5, but again, all 10 of the commissioners works together in conjunction with the mayor. We represent Augusta. All right, so there's nobody ducking and dodging or hiding about anything. At the end of the day, we're your leaders that you all have elected. But again, would it be of assistance to continue having multiple meetings so that we can continue having this conversation? Now, again, let me clarify something. They are still going through the process of even getting to the point of breaking ground of establishing buildings. There's still a lot of points of approval that have to go forward. At the end of the day, this company has purchased the property that has already been zoned for what they have proposed. That is the biggest thing that we need. Listen, I can't hear everybody when you're yelling. That's why we brought mics. That's why we brought all this so that we could talk about it. But let's make sure that everybody has the time to do the breakouts with the company, with Georgia Power, with our plan and development, with utilities, with engineering, so that we can get some more clarity and so that we can also follow up with some additional sessions. Is that on? Come on up, sir.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
All right, I know you couldn't. I saw you twisting in your seat over there.
My name's Sean Cusick. I live in Haines Station.
Okay.
I'm going to try to surmise something here before we can close it. I don't think the beef is with QTS. I don't think the beef is with QTS.
Okay.
I think the beef is with our elected officials. Is with our community leaders. We live in an information technology superiority, right?
Okay.
I don't know if our processes are antiquated to where this is a big room of people that are involved. If the processes kind of flowed right or were streamlined.
Which portion of the process that you have a question on?
We're talking about giving the community a point to talk to the government officials before us. It seems like we're at a point now where we're informing you of what's happening. From 2022, there was never a point of, what do you guys think? What's the recommendations from the community? A young lady had a great point. There's plenty of industrial areas that are just left vacant and deteriorating throughout our city and county. Optimal spaces for a big building, a big data center.
Right.
It may not be geographically located to maybe some of our key customers, but these are the recommendations I think that the community is upset about. We did not know the process for information and inclusion in the decision wasn't used efficiently, and at this point is more of a, you're being told what's going to go in your community, and you can ask them about it. But the city officials are just kind of like, we did a couple of committees, here's the times that we did them, you weren't there, stinks to be you. So I don't know if this is like a learning point that maybe there's a better information flow in the future. I don't think that we're going to be able to derail this. I don't think that there's any type of change in what we're going to see, but there's definitely a breakdown in the process.
All right, so everybody's brought up a couple times about Columbia County and how they've done it. Let me make sure we clear this for the record. Augusta-Richmond County didn't own the property. That was a private owner that owned that property. The property was up for sale. This company, just like the previous company, purchased that property. They didn't purchase it from Augusta-Richmond County. They didn't get Augusta-Richmond County approval to purchase the property of what they did. They purchased property that was already zoned for what they are intending to do from a... All right, so I'll bring... Again, I understand because again, when you hear this over and over and over again, it gets confusing. It was already zoned for a data center. I'll bring the staff up again so that they can please clarify the zoning components of it. But when they purchased the property, was it zoned for what they are intending to do? Yes. Please come up and clarify that.
Yes, when QTS acquired the property, it was already rezoned. As we said, it was rezoned in 2022. But I think we can look at, as my manager and I were talking, we can look at our notification processes of how we do things from our meetings, right? But we put our signs out in 2022. Again, I wasn't here, but we have our pictures of them and we can share our proof of it. We meet every legal requirement for it. We put them out we put our signs out, we put them out in our legal ads, and now currently we have started putting them out on our website monthly. That's something new that we do. We put out every single application on our website, where you can see the complete application, the concept plan, and where it's going to be located, and that updates monthly. 2022 was the first time that it went through, and that was when it was rezoned to B2, which was the correct zoning. Yes, 2022.
So, okay. Okay, so we'll allow one last question. Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to know, since this happened in 2022, why did the developers, or why didn't you all say, hey, you all can't build these homes this close because we got this big data center coming? Why didn't somebody stop the developers from building homes? Because that new development is just coming. Haines Station was there before 2022, but you all let them expand it, that subdivision, to where it is now. And now you're telling us that you got this data center that was approved in 2022 from, I'm gonna say, a small data center to this gigantic center. So why didn't somebody stop the development of building these homes that was gonna affect our property? I don't understand. I really don't understand this.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think you are referring to potentially Weatherstone. It's a D.R. Horton townhome community.
They're over there. They're back there, the representative.
Well, that's Haines Station.
Yeah.
Correct? Are you talking about the phases of Haines
They're
Station?
still building. We have 3 phases in our subdivision.
Okay. I can't answer for Beasley Homes.
Okay. Their rep is here. They're back there. Yeah, Beasley's back there, over there.
Oh, why we didn't stop the station?
Yeah, he's right there. Yeah. They're standing in the back.
That's okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes.
The only reason I knew about this meeting was because someone in my neighborhood gave me a piece of paper. I would just like to know when the next meeting is and if you guys could inform the communities better, because that's the only way I knew about it. Thank you.
Yeah, like a pamphlet or something would be great. We do not have a date set yet. We will look in the month of May when it is announced or when it is decided. We will work in whatever way possible. So we can work with the commissioners to have it posted. We can do mailers to the 2 neighborhoods if that's helpful. We can post it on the webpage. We'll do a multiple version of getting it out there.
Actually, could we have input instead of telling us? Can you work with the community to see what would be great for us? Instead of you giving us information, can we collaborate?
It would be really hard to try to collaborate with 200 people
Well, we
on a date.
collaborated on this. We asked for this meeting on 20 January.
Okay.
I think the best thing to do is to schedule another meeting in May, and that way let us get together and work to collaborate. And that way when we do come back, we can ask more questions, and we'll break out in stations. We did not have time to do that tonight. We've got QTS has people that are in from out of town. They got to go back out of town. But we will, and I will make sure that we address your questions and answer anything you have. This is a start, okay? It's February. In 3 months, we'll come back here. Nothing's going to be done overnight. It's not. So let's just come back here, regroup in May, and we'll have more time together, and we will collaborate. We will make sure that departments get together and put on websites and inform y'all, because that's where we need to do, is to make sure you're informed. And I do hear your concerns, I do. So please know that you are being heard, okay? And there are plates of food for everyone, and we appreciate you coming out. I'll let QTS speak. Thank you.
So the other thing I do want to encourage, again, submit your questions. We will answer them. Every question that goes into that form on the website will get answered. It's the best way to get very specific information from your very specific situation, and then we will be back. Sorry, Duke.
This is very quick. So what I would request as a constituent, because this is a voting year, for our commissioners to look at our zoning requirements for things like data centers. Maybe they shouldn't go in a B2. Maybe there can be a specific zoning specific just for data centers, so that we can avoid a lot of this angst, because the general B2 doesn't say data center. It's just general B2. And this is where a lot of this is coming from. Folks don't understand.
We want to connect you to the plan. Okay.
Thank you.
Please be sure to grab food